All right, everybody. So last week I visited the new building site. It is lovely, and the fire inspection needs to go through this week. So once the fire marshal gives us the green light, it's open. You'll be having classes there with Ashley. How many of you were with Ashley yesterday at the State House?
Could you repeat, please, the question?
How many of you joined Ashley yesterday at the State House?
No,
Nobody?
nobody. For
Nobody.
me,
Well,
no.
oh, well, you guys sound like a lot of fun. Okay. Uh, all right. So this is what we're going to do. Okay. There we are. All right. So we're going to discuss the upcoming assignment. That's going to be for the 9th, Thursday. There we are. So upcoming assignment will be Thursday the 9th. We'll take our time with that. We're going to watch the short documentary, Russian Pilots in the Congo. And we began the first 2 minutes of it. But I showed everybody 3 discussion questions. And I think everybody got a little bit confused with the context of the first question. Context means situation, what's going on. So that's what we're going to do. We'll take a little bit of time when I identify those 3 questions. We'll look at what question is being asked and how we can gather that information from the documentary. So it's a listening comprehension exercise. You're given a question, you're given information that's spoken, and then you're asked to process it and then give feedback and discuss what's going on. So after that, we'll take our 10-minute break. And then I'll have a parts of speech exercise, which should be a little bit of fun because this first exercise will be some intense listening and speaking comprehension with a bit of writing. Then I'll give everybody a little time at the end to begin the writing assignment, and that's what we'll do today. All right. Any questions before moving along?
No, thank you.
Okay. I do have an announcement, which pertains particularly to Doris and Fatima. Good news. We will begin the evening option. For those who cannot come in person, we'll begin the evening option on Monday evening next week. So that's good news for both of you. Wait,
Okay.
Gracie, what's going on? I thought you couldn't make it today. How you doing? Good to see you, Gracie. I thought you couldn't come. A surprise. All right. So
I really
excellent.
appreciate. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem. And you can also thank Mariana. It was actually her push to get it done.
Oh, thank you.
So it's actually my conversation with Mariana was she actually got additional funding because I have my hours to teach that I'm paid for. And she's the one who went to go find the money to pay me to teach the night class.
Wow.
So she's the one who worked the magic.
So nice.
Yeah.
See, thank you for her.
I will. And she said to me, George, you're going to be working a lot. And I said, I know. So working's better than not working, right?
Yeah.
So, and so Gracie, I know that's good news for you because you also can't come to those in-person classes either. So excellent news for Gracie, Doris, and Fatima. Everybody else, you'll love the new classroom when you go to see Ashley next week. Anyway.
Okay.
Let us keep it moving. Now we'll discuss the upcoming assignment. Victoria, I believe you've already started this assignment. Am I right? You're the go-getter amongst us. So Victoria, you might take a little bit of a lead in conversation. So the upcoming assignment is not due till Thursday. One of you has already gotten a head start. So let's take a look at it. So last week, we looked at the concept. There it is. That's what I used last week. For anybody who missed what we were doing last week, I opened up with a stand-up comedy routine from Russell Peters. He tells a story about how he grew up in Canada. His parents were from India, and they never felt like they were Canadian. And the father wanted to become Canadian. And he turns it into really great comedy, but it's a very telling story and goes into deeper issues of diaspora communities. And that was a vocabulary word from last week. I'll put back up here on the screen, diaspora. Diaspora communities, people who collectively move from one place to the other. Many of you are members of various diaspora communities around the Boston area. So in the story, in the just a comedy routine, he says, he tells a story about his father wanting to be Canadian, wanting to be accepted by his neighbors. And
tonight, we will become Canadians. I said, Dad, I was already born here. I think I got it covered. Okay, but what's your plan? He goes, son, I have bought a barbecue.
Teacher, sorry about that. Did you have a question? Because my screen was frozen.
oh
Did you
no,
ask
no, no,
something?
no, no. I was
Okay.
just reviewing. I was giving
Yeah.
everybody a refresher of what we've been doing.
Sorry about that. My screen
No
was
problem.
frozen. That's why.
I go, what are you going to do, cook the rest of Canada and we'll be the only ones left? No, Canadians like to eat the barbecue. I go, Dad, they don't actually eat the barbecue, but I think I know where you're going with this. I go, what's your plan? He goes, tonight, we will have a barbecue in the backyard. We will invite all the neighbors. They will come over, eat our food, and think we are Canadian. I said, Dad, if they eat our food, they're gonna know we're not Canadian. Our food will have flavor.
So that was a little bit that I used to start a discussion. And I asked the question, is it possible to become a member of society that you yourself don't feel a part of? So that distinguishing paperwork, you can get a passport of another country, you can have a job, have a life, but you might live that entire life not truly believing that you are a part of society. And
All right.
and I use this image as well regarding being an insider or an outsider, shifting my slides there. So feeling like an insider or feeling like an outsider. And it's a very personal journey. We discussed that for a good part of last week. And then I led into this unique diaspora community, mostly men, elderly, middle-aged pilots from Russia who were trained in the former Soviet Union, working in Central Africa. And this is the documentary. I introduced this question, and I think a lot of folks got confused with the question and the context. So the question I asked is, what brought this community together? So what do I mean when I'm asking what brought them together? What is that question actually asking?
Did you help the community? Did we help the community to go like forward or something like that? No.
Not quite. It's not. That's not the question.
Mm-hmm.
Who could? So it's written in pretty simple language, but I want to ask everybody what the question means. Who could tell me what that first question means? What am I asking when I say what brought this community together?
What thing put the community together? What I think what's to propose to be to do and have the communities together. What is important to make the communities together? I think is this. I know what is this, but I don't have the
Almost.
words to.
You're getting closer, Doris. You're getting closer. Well, remember the word diaspora?
Yeah.
What makes a diaspora? So Doris, you identified yourself as being part of the Cape Verdean diaspora of
Diaspora,
Randolph,
yes.
right?
No, in Brockton.
In
Yes.
Brockton. I
Yeah.
thought you were in Randolph.
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
live in Brockton.
Next door.
Yes.
Close enough. Okay, we're all on the South Shore. I'm in Weymouth. So,
Yes, we have a community.
and
Yes.
you could feasibly, because you lived in Brazil for so long, you could do you think you could cross over and become part of the Brazilian diaspora of Weymouth, where I live? I bet you could.
Yes.
You could be a member of 2 South Shore diaspora communities. But anyway, I'm being a little bit
Something.
sarcastic, facetious is when I'm talking to Doris. What are you thinking, Fatima?
Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Something like when we watch the the soccer, something we are together with it, like that.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Like, is anybody is anybody watching a Champions League game at 3 o'clock today?
No.
Any? No. Okay. Well, the question is, it's okay. Is if your son has the answer, go for it. It's fine. I encourage you, if anyone's children are listening and they have a question, absolutely, because it looks like like you too, fraternities, if your kids want to answer the question, no problem. So the question is, what brought the community together? A diaspora community is a community that collectively moves from one country to another country. So basically, at one stage in your life, you're in this one country, and then you pivot, uproot everything, create a whole new life in another country. What's the reason for doing that? Fatima, where you live in Revere, is there a Moroccan or larger North African
Yes.
diaspora community? Do you
Yes.
feel like you're a part of that diaspora community?
Yes, because when I when I feel like sometime I feel like I want to move to the big house. When I because now the expensive rent everywhere. I want to go like far away. I feel like I'm gonna go to the other place because a lot of Moroccan here. We have a mosque. We have a Moroccan. I mean Arabic school every weekend. We have our community here. When I
Then why
I
do you
feel
want to?
alone.
Why do you said you want to get away from that? Am I right?
Yes,
Why?
sometimes I feel because I have only 1 bedroom. I have 2 young.
Oh yeah. It's
I want a 2
expensive.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like I want to feel alone because I have community here.
So you've had enough of the North African community. You want to get away. You're surrounded by your comrades so much. You're saying there's too many of you. Get away from me.
No. I wanna
I know what you
be.
mean.
Yes,
More
yeah.
space. You need more space. You have a
No.
family. Absolutely.
Yes, but when I feel like I'm gonna leave my community, like other, like I feel like I'm not alone. I'm with other. Yeah.
No, I totally understand. Doris, do you ever experience this? for various reasons, you've got your community right in front of you that, you know, I need a break from these people, try something else?
Yes, in Brazil, because in my universe, you have 100 students from Cape Verde. A lot of students that say, no, I need to move on to learn much about Brazil, because we stay all together just for our culture. I need to know more about Brazil and to know around and see new people. That's why sometimes you need to stay when you say stay oh my god.
Broaden your horizon?
Today, yes,
Or
today I'm so proud because my sons send me a picture about honor roll honor, yes, in the school. I'm so proud of him because we stay
he's on the honor roll.
yes.
Nice. Fantastic. Oh,
He
great.
sent me a picture. I'm so happy.
Congratulations. Everybody, please give Doris a thumbs up. The honor roll in America, that means you have really good grades.
Good
Yes.
job.
What
Good for your
grade?
son.
What grade is your son in?
6th grade.
Congratulations.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Okay, keep that up. Keep that up. Keep those
Yes,
good grades going, and he'll have a lot of options when it's time to apply for college. Excellent.
I know. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much.
So going back to the original question, what brought this community together? A bunch of people who start in one place and then move to another place to create a new life. What might be the reasons that a large Cape Verdean community has moved to Brockton? What might be the reasons that a large Moroccan community is in Revere? That's the question.
For
And it could be,
studying, for get
okay,
more a better job,
okay,
to in life.
education and opportunity, okay?
Yes. To change
Education,
in
yes.
life better.
All
Yeah.
right,
To be to help people in her country.
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Excellent. So a lot of these overlapping ideas we want to be able to put into complex sentences.
because the healthy insurance here is much better in her country. That's why more people comes to have an appointment with doctor, because we don't have a lot of a good condition to help people in the health security. Yes,
Are you talking about working in healthcare or receiving healthcare?
receiving the health
Okay,
care.
interesting. All right. Very, very interesting. Okay. It's not very often that you hear nice things about the American healthcare system, but Massachusetts is a little bit
It's much better.
unusual.
Massachusetts, yes,
Yeah.
is really good for immigration. For people has a lot of opportunity to go
Mhm.
to see a doctor. Yes, it's really good.
Okay. So does everybody see how Doris is explaining an answer to a question in complex sentences? That's exactly what I want everybody to do. So reasons one community moves to another place. Opportunity for better education, or opportunity for better employment, access to improved healthcare. This is how you want to form your arguments when you're answering a question. It could be a lot of people have are relocated because they didn't have a whole lot of other options. They might have been leaving a very troubling situation somewhere else. Many, many different reasons. But the question here is what brought this community together? Because it's an unusual diaspora. What do I mean when I say it's unusual. These guys living in Central Africa together. What's so unusual about this?
I think I know
Okay, tell us.
about the think about the
Aviators?
aviators, yes, because the Russian pilots needs the new job, needs a job, and he goes to offer the her job from her country. He needs to a new pilot, a good
Yes.
pilot. Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Now, that's a perfect place to start. Excellent job, Doris. But it gets a little more unusual. There's pilots all over the world. There's pilots across Africa. Why exactly would
Because
this
the
community?
money, have
Okay.
a lot of money involved. Because the money the pilots Russian has in Congo, it's much better than we have in her country. That I think that's why the pilots go, because they have a lot of money, have a lot of don't have bureaucracy than we have in her country.
No, you're
And
getting
Yeah.
you're getting somewhere. Who could tell me what this was? The former Soviet Union. I'll give you dates, 1917 to 1991. What was this? It was mentioned in the documentary, but I think a lot of people weren't familiar with this. What was this? I'll give you the date, 1991. Okay. It said, the narrator said, these planes were purchased from the former Soviet Union. And I think a lot of people were kind of scratching their heads. And I think that in English might not have been translated, might be a new word. Who could tell me what's the former Soviet Union? It existed from 1917 to 1991. What was that?
It's a company.
Not a business, not a company.
That was a union
Tell
from
us, Israel.
different countries, Russia, Ukraine. I don't know
Yes.
who else, but a lot of countries before that they were different name.
Exactly.
After 91, they separate and become
Exactly.
Russia and a lot of other countries.
Exactly. So yes, the USSR, or in English, the former Soviet Union, it existed from 1917 to 1991. So you've got the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917, also time of the end of the First World War. And then you have, by the late 1980s and then 1991, a breakup. Does everyone understand what Israel is talking about? He said it was a bunch of different places that all were part of one, and then they broke up. That's essentially what it was. So it was if you look at a map from the last century, the Soviet Union covers a large part of Eastern Europe and parts of Central Asia. And then after the Soviet Union dismantled, the Russian Federation became one country that it is today. And then many smaller former Soviet countries became independently operating on their own. So Central Asia, Turkmenistan, Mongolia, all of these places that were connected to the former Soviet Union are Uzbekistan, all these places, and where the conflict is in the Ukraine, they at one point were part of a much larger network. That's what it is. So this is part of the reason. Doris said these guys, but this explains the age. Is this a very young man?
No.
Right. So that's one reason this is a unique diaspora. Many times diaspora communities are younger people that have, maybe they've got dreams to change their lives and start something fresh in another country, like in their 20s or 30s. These guys are already where you would think maybe they're semi-retired, they're in their
Retired,
60s and
yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
So what are these guys? What's Grandpa doing in Central Africa flying planes?
To enjoy her life and make more money, and because in Central Africa you can live her life more easy than her country. That's why.
You got the money part right, but
Yes.
you're gonna see that there's not a lot of they're not living an easy life there. It's not
Not easy,
well,
but
comparatively, who knows? But these guys are up in the sky flying back and forth every day. There's no day off. You'll see, but we haven't gotten to that.
but I think is much. I think it's about money. And sometimes maybe this pilot don't have a family in her country.
This is you're I like it. The wheels are turning, Doris. You're making some speculations that are interesting, but you'll see. You're getting really closer. Viviana, what are you thinking?
Teacher, I think maybe because just the ancients now manipulate these airplanes.
Say that one more time, Viviana. They're so old.
Yeah.
The planes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Viviana has the answer. These planes are so old. So old. That these are the only guys in the world who know how to fly them. Does everybody get it? That's the reason.
Yes.
Like a young pilot, just out of, flight school, 23 years old, has no idea how to fly one of these planes from the 1960s. They're like, what? Like, this is a very, and that Bibiana had, you nailed it. Excellent. So I'm going to show you the very first moment of this documentary explains how old these planes are. The reporter is a young woman, an American, who says, I feel like I'm in a museum. You'll see right here.
This plane, it's like a toy. It does not look real.
This plane is like a toy. It does not look real.
This plane, it's like a toy. It does not look real. I feel like we're at the Air and Space Museum in a simulator.
So yeah, that's exactly the premise. So yes, now that is what makes this particular diaspora unique. Doris, you're absolutely right. They're there to make some money. Oh yeah. But also, I mean, usually companies would hire somebody who would want more competition. Why would they want to get these people to come all the way from Russia to fly these planes? Why not hire some young guy out of flight school in their own country?
Because this guy have more experience in this. The whole pilot has more experience about the plane is so old. That's why he I think it is, yeah.
Well, why exactly there? And there's another reason. Why in the world would the Congo, and in this case the Democratic Republic of Congo, it's confusing, there's two countries that are similarly linked. It's like North and South Korea, or East and West Germany, that kind of complications. So why would the Congo be buying all these ancient planes? Viviana, yes.
Teacher, can you correct me if I have a mistake? but I
Okay.
think that when I understood that when the US is after the Union Soviet,
Soviet Union, yeah.
these airplanes, those airplanes, was sent and was the best for the owners. Yeah.
You're pretty close.
Like I understood, I don't know, but I think that these ancients was the owners that these machines.
Oh, the pilots themselves are the owners? No, they're not the owners.
Okay.
No, they're not flying with. They didn't bring their own planes with them.
Yep.
So no, these planes are purchased. Remember, the former Soviet Union had a lot of equipment, aviation equipment, military equipment, and still does. And then once the Soviet Union was dismantled, collapsed,
Yeah.
naturally they're going to want to sell it to whoever will buy it. Why
Yeah.
exactly would a country in Central Africa be buying all these really old planes? I'll play this part right here and make sure you read the closed captions. Here we go.
This plane, it's like a toy. It like does not look real. I feel like we're at the Air and Space Museum in a simulator. The Democratic Republic of Congo is one of Africa's largest countries, both in terms of population and geographic area. It sits on one of the world's largest reserves of natural resources, yet remains one of the poorest nations in the world. With a seemingly never-ending cycle of war, kleptocratic leaders, and a mad scramble for resources, the Congo has been left with less functioning infrastructure today than it had 60 years ago.
Okay. So this goes back to Doris's question. So Congo is in Central Africa, one of the largest countries in terms of population and geographic area. It sits on large reserves of natural resources. A lot of the phones in our pockets have diamonds and copper and precious metals that come from that part of the world. The cars we drive has metals mined from that part of the world, yet the ordinary people are not profiting from any of that money. People are struggling. What are their problems? There's less functioning infrastructure. That might be a brand new word. Who could tell me what is functioning infrastructure?
Infrastructure.
Roads, bridges. This is infrastructure. Roads, bridges, airports.
Yeah.
These things. So the logistical tools to get to work. What if you need to get to work and the city you live in doesn't have a bus? And what if there's no road for the bus to travel on? This is infrastructure. So functioning infrastructure means that it works. So infrastructure is a big problem. Viviana, what are you thinking?
Yeah, because the road was broken and they don't have well roads for communication. And
Exactly.
Just
yeah.
the road functioning just was to use for the revolution for the.
Well, you're onto something. Let's talk about their other problems right here. So so the money the country makes from selling all those minerals doesn't go to the people. Okay. And there's not a lot of functioning infrastructure. What are some other problems? What about leadership? And another word is used. Who know? Who knows this word? Klepto. El Centro students love to use the word corruption.
Oh, okay.
Every class I've ever taught, every student from many different countries loves to say that their country is more corrupt than their neighbor's country. No, my country is more corrupt than your country. But this is another synonym of corrupt.
Okay.
Klepto means stealing. To steal. Someone who has a klepto is a person who is compulsively stealing things. So the reporter uses the word kleptocratic.
There are almost no roads linking the massive nation together, and those that do exist are subject to the control of more than 50 constantly shifting rebel groups scattered throughout the country.
So shifting rebel groups. Are these official armies? These are just a mishmash. These are just kind of paramilitary groups. So here's the word kleptocratic.
It sits on one of the world's largest reserves.
Oh, come on. Lost it. I lost it. There we go.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is one of Africa's largest countries, both in terms of population and geographic area. It sits on one of the world's largest reserves of natural resources, yet remains one of the poorest nations in the world. With a seemingly never-ending cycle of war, kleptocratic leaders.
So there we go. Kleptocratic leaders. Was spelled with the auto-generated with a K there. Kleptocratic leaders. That means basically somebody running the government who just takes money from people. And never-ending cycle of war. So there's constantly some battle going on somewhere. And there's not a lot of dependability with leadership. People can't trust government. If people have money, they can't put it in a bank, trusting that it's going to be there later. So you got all these problems, right? A lot of people might, in other diaspora communities, might, these problems might not seem so far away. You're like, oh, I can relate to that. I've had issues. Why? So it's not the safest place to travel. There's not functioning roads. So going back to the original question, if there's not a lot of functioning roads to get from one place to the other, this part of the documentary I didn't show yet, but right here. So between cities, there's not a network of highways. So what's the best thing to do if there's not a network of highways linking one city to the next? And even if there were, there's always some kind of fighting going on. Rebel groups, guys with guns attacking each other. How does a country operate?
Get an airplane.
You got it. So that's why the Congo has, the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, has purchased multiple planes from the former Soviet Union. Does everybody see that story coming together?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's still one other piece. Why wouldn't they just buy local African planes? Plenty of planes across Africa. Why wouldn't some brilliant entrepreneur start their own company? Here's the answer.
Maybe he don't believe, he don't trust with her products.
You're onto something. And think about, this is part of the answer right here.
Because the problem of the politic.
Multiple reasons.
Maybe it's more cheap to buy a plane, because in her country it's more expensive.
Exactly. So these old Soviet planes, it's much cheaper to get a plane that's 50 years old
Yeah.
and buy it super cheap than it is to start, to get brand new planes and get the funding for new airlines. So here's the answer.
To get around. And with roads largely out of the question, flying is the best option. But the Congo also has one of the worst airline records in the world. Every single Congolese airline is blacklisted in the West due to their failure to keep up with international safety standards.
So that's an issue. Every single local airline is blacklisted in Western countries. They're saying don't fly here because they never pass international safety standards.
Okay.
So the local airlines have never passed safety standards. It's much more cheaper to buy these 50-year-old planes. And there's the answer an old plane, you're going to get a lot of old pilots who know how to fly the plane. So I challenge anybody who can put together a sentence or two, a complex sentence explaining all of this. What brought this community together? And here's a picture of the community themselves. Anybody want to take the challenge? What's the reason that all these older Russian guys are in the middle of Africa flying old planes? I challenge anybody who can take the challenge. It's a complex story. Go for it, Fatima.
Just 1 second, I need to help my daughter.
No problem. So it's like we've kind of done this collectively. Veronica gave us a piece of the story. Israel gave us a piece of the story. Doris, Fatima gave us a piece of the story. Gracie, you want to give it a shot? What brought this whole community together? Why a bunch of older Russian men are flying planes in the middle of Africa?
I think they needed each other. The old men need to work, need to get money, need to be active, and they need to operate their machine.
There you go. They have a skill. That skill is needed in that one part of the world because of the political and economic situation. They're really the only people who can do this job that needs to be done.
Yes.
There you go. All right. So here are the next two questions. I'm going to show you, it's almost time. We've had a good conversation. I'm going to show you a little bit more of the documentary. After we take a break in 5 minutes, the next two questions you want to keep in mind, and I recommend writing these down. What ways do they maintain their culture? So these guys are from a totally different culture, but they're living their lives in the middle of Africa. People speaking a different language from theirs. Night and day. They couldn't be more different from the community they're in. So they have certain ways that they maintain their culture. Gracie, what are some ways you maintain your culture in the US? And you've lived in different parts of the world too.
I think we usually to try to stay together with our community. Mm-hmm. And for me, one way is about the food.
There you go. You're going to see that. You're going to see that soon.
I think the food is really a kind of important part of the every culture. If you see the food have a history, have everything from our country.
You're going to see that here. This, while the pilots are up in the air, this guy is the engineer. It's his job to fix these planes, make sure they're running. But because he's not up in the air, he's the one who does the shopping and has to does the communicating with the local shopkeepers to find the food that the guys like to eat when they land the planes and come together.
That made them together, yes.
Yeah. So yes, excellent. So food is one. So the question, so that's one answer. They have their cooking their meals together. That's one thing. What are other ways they maintain their culture? That's one thing you want to look for.
I think about the music, they can also, about the cultural activities, they can stay together.
Now, the third question I'm going to ask everybody, which is part of your homework: does this community live inside of the society or outside? And this is a subjective question. Your answer might be very different from the next person's answer. Some of these people have been in the middle of Africa for 20 years. And you might argue, yes, they're definitely part of the society. You might argue, no, they're totally isolated. They live outside. The same way that that Russell Peters joke, the father spent 40, 50 years in Canada. He never felt Canadian. So we can look at these guys. Are they inside of society, or are they just there and society is happening, but they're not a part of it? They can't access it. So that's the third question.
For me, it's outside of the community, because every
Wait, did you watch it already?
No, just
okay. But you haven't seen it yet.
yeah, just for my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, because for my opinion, I saw a lot of trouble in the country. That's why every group has one bottle.
Okay. So yes, everybody think about these last two questions. How do they maintain their culture? Are they living inside or outside of society? All right, I'll play a few more minutes and then we'll take a break. Here we go.
But the Congo also has one of the worst airline records in the world. Every single Congolese airline is blacklisted in the West due to their failure to keep up with international safety standards. There are pilots and flight crews from all over the world operating in the Congo, but one group in particular got us interested: the Russians. Coming here after the fall of the USSR, the Russian pilots of the Congo have become infamous for their ancient airplanes, low-flying stunts, and rowdy after-hours activities. They have also become the nation's go-to guys to flying anything, anywhere, no matter what. So we came to the Congo to meet them for ourselves. However, actually finding them turned out to be a lot more difficult than we had imagined.
Okay, so let's take a break now, and we'll see the rest of this and answer these last two questions after the break. Here we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good work, everybody. Good work. I'll pause the recording right now. Thank you, Gracie. So I'm going to ask everybody, just let me know you are back and we will continue along. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Andres. Everybody here? Letitia, thank you. Frenities, thank you. Okay, if you're not here, raise your hand. All right, everybody's here. Let's continue. So the two questions we'll be discussing: what ways do they maintain their culture? And then finally, does this community live inside or outside of society? Let's pick up where we left off. For the remainder, I believe I will, I'll pause the recording again because it's copywritten material, and I will do full screen for everybody. Here we go. Okay, so I've paused this part of the recording. The reporter has asked one of the older pilots about the city, Kisangani, and the answer is, I don't go to the city. And he's saying, nah. And I'm gonna get a little feedback from everybody else. He just says, city's that way.
How big is the city? It's very small. You've never seen it?
What's going on? And he says, many, many problems. I don't go to city. Many, many problems. That might be very telling. I don't go to the city. Many, many problems. Just shaking his head like he wants nothing to do with it. Doris, Fatima, everybody, there's a lot happening here just in that man's expression. What's his issue with going to the city, interacting with local people?
Because it is not possible. Because the people is not friendly.
So he doesn't feel, well, he interacts with people at work, of course. You know, he has to talk to the other pilots. He has to talk to the people picking up the cargo. So yeah, but he just, for whatever reason, he's not comfortable. What's happening?
He has a lot of bureaucracy or a lot of crap. What do you say? Crap action? Yes, I think it is in this city because has a lot of word social, I think is
social unrest. Yes, certainly there are those issues. Okay, Bibiana, what are you thinking?
Teacher, I think that maybe because they speak another language.
I think a lot of people here could probably relate to that, right?
Yeah.
That language barrier might be one thing. It's thinking, you know, why do I want to go interact with these people? I have that headache of communicating, you know, walking into a restaurant and pointing and grunting if I don't know the words to say, that kind of situation. You're going to see in just a moment, I'm going to pause the recording again. You're going to see that some of his colleagues, the other pilots, have a different attitude. He's really not thrilled about interacting with local people. Others are, and they are much more engaged in that local culture. So I'll pause the recording again, and we'll see this next part. Recording. So here, Alex is doing the shopping, and you're going to see English used as the lingua franca. Doris, tell us, what is a lingua franca?
It's about your language, your I think is your pure language. Just I think it's a dialect.
Not exactly. Let's say Fatima, you grew up speaking a Moroccan version of Arabic, right?
Yes.
So let's say, and Gracie, you grew up speaking Spanish, right?
Yes.
And let's say, Doris, you're a native Portuguese speaker, right?
But we speak Creole.
Creole, so Cape Verdean Creole and Portuguese. So Portuguese / Cape Verdean Creole. So 3 people speaking 3 totally different languages. If you arrive at an airport, Gracie, where you used to live in South Korea.
Yes.
Let's say the 3 of you have a connecting flight in Seoul. Which language might you choose to talk to each other?
The lingua franca is English.
There you go. That's the definition of a lingua franca. It's like that meeting place in the middle.
Yes.
So this is where even though they're not in an English speaking area And these guys don't really speak English to each other. English becomes this de facto lingua franca. You're going to see
Yes.
how it works. You're going to see a lot of nodding and a lot of pointing. And he'll try to describe a little bit. The guy talking to him will try French, and then when he doesn't get an answer in French, he tries English, and it's a lot of body language, communicating, and all that struggle that is life. So you'll see
It's not our language, but it's our common language.
the
It's crazy,
common
right?
language. Yes, that's the best definition. It's the common language, even if the language is not necessarily common. Andres, what are you thinking?
Teacher, is similar the universal language, for example?
You could say it's universal. You could say that's a synonym. However, I think the word universal is misleading because it presumes that everybody speaks it well in a way. Oh, it's universal. People will, if you tell people, oh, just learn English and you could go anywhere in the world and everybody will understand you, that's not true. So yes, but no is my answer. It's more like you learn English and you'll have a better chance of being understood. That's a safer way to put it. So you'll see English becoming the lingua franca in this situation.
Onion, bread, milk, sardina.
Sardine. Flour.
C'est ça farine. Oui, papa. Farine de fruits. Aí é paquet. Comme ça.
So they've got all their ingredients, but essentially that was, could everybody hear? When he's talking to her, so she's the American talking to this Ukrainian, looking at his shopping list. He's reading aloud. He's saying, I know how to say tomato. I know how to say milk. I know how to say flour. And she's just like, got it, got it, got it. And then this guy, he tries to speak to him a little bit of French and he's not getting anywhere. So they revert to a physical language. No, not this, that. And a packet. That's what I want.
Milk, sardina.
Sardine. Flour.
C'est ça farine. Oui, papa. Farine de fruits. Aí é paquet. Comme ça.
Him culture in him space, no more. Outside is another country, another place, but he adopt him culture and him space just in your house.
So he's created that space where he lives is his culture, and he's still
is his world.
Okay.
In his house, no more.
Very, very interesting. Any other thoughts? I just started, it was good stuff. I started recording again. So for anybody watching this recording, he talks about how he's been in Central Africa for about 14 years, but he has a very blasé attitude to the political situation. And this is, even though he doesn't have the vocabulary to really express himself, this is what he says.
It's not a problem for me. It's problem for Congo. For me, it's not problem. It's not good condition. I'm not working. It's to stop company. I don't know. It's political.
That shrug of the shoulders is a great gesture. Whatever. He's just making his permini, which are dumplings, and he's living his life, doing his thing. Major political changes are happening every single day, and he's just going on about his business, as Fatima, Doris, and Vibiana were pointing out. Quick question: does anyone relate to this? The idea of where you and your diaspora community are going on about your life, very much connected to your culture, but there perhaps is a whole world happening in front of you that you might not be a part of?
No, actually no.
So
Because
yeah.
yeah, when I see something happen bad, even
Mhm.
if I don't, even if I am not in this country, I feel sad. I feel
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
For
so
me,
keep going, Fatima.
yeah, for me, no. I feel happy when something good happened to the other country or other culture or other, even if I don't, if I am not there, I feel sad if something happen, bad happen. I'm not like him.
Was it Gracie or Viviana who said that he's emotionally disconnected? Who was that?
I think me and
Me,
Doris.
Was that Doris or who said me?
Gracie,
Gracie,
well,
yeah. Fatima, what she just said was, I think, very addressed directly your point, Gracie, where you said he's emotionally disconnected with the world that he's living in. And Fatima said, she cannot do that. She has to be involved. She sees major events happening around America. She must express some emotion towards the world that she's in the middle of.
yes.
But this guy seems to just shrug it off, or at least that's what he's expressing.
The question is this: what are you gonna do when you express your emotion for that? Can you help them, or can you be sad yourself? It's
Yeah, but it's like not, this is a feeling. You cannot control your feeling sometimes, you know? When you see something, you cannot you cannot control yourself to be.
sometimes. But sometimes you do the best to be save yourself.
Because sometimes I see the news like that. I cannot watch the news, something bad, then I feel like I don't care about, or I'm not there, or I can't sometimes. Better to not hear, but when I hear, I feel sad. But I know nothing changed if I sad or happy. I know.
Well, here's a question. Now, in your own communities, do you ever feel this disengagement, like there's a wall between American society and your culture? That's a question for anybody in class. The way he's created this wall of his own culture. Anybody else relate to this? I'll take that as a no. All right, let's see the end. Recording. So we just finished the documentary, the assignments in Google Classroom for Thursday. And these are the last two questions. And we've gone into this a little bit. Any closing comments? What are some ways they maintain their culture? Who could give me some examples? Looks like I wore everybody out today. All right. So they've got their music, they've got their social activities, they've got their food, and they've created this little, that's essentially what a diaspora community is. They've got this small pocket of Russian life in the middle of Central Africa. But you want to be able to describe that in conversation. So we'll continue that next time. And the last one, think of a way that you can argue this for your assignment. Does the community live inside or outside? Because clearly they're a vital part of the country's infrastructure, but a lot of them seem totally disconnected with the world they're in.
Yeah.
And some of them don't, but that depends on how you argue it. So think about that for next time.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye, teacher.
Take
Have a very
care.
good day. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.